Good morning and welcome to the new episode of Dr. Lamba's Awakening. The people world over were watching China, their focuses riveted. Politicians, businessmen, and even common people. They were awaiting what's going to happen. Would presidency get a third term or not? Would he tighten his stranglehold in China? What would be his course of action? Since this week-long 20th Party Congress of the Communist Party of China, which concluded on October 22, was a watershed event in many respects. For the first time in the history of China, it was the second leader who got another chance after two terms. The first leader was basically the father of the nation, you can call it. He led the communist movement and created China what it is today, Mao Zedong. He was the only leader. And since his death in 1976, he continued. Right till 1976, he was the leader. So would Xi Jinping start his third term in the same way that Mao did? And yes, he proved. He is the second leader who is having the third term. As anticipated, he is conferred the title of the Secretary General and also the honorific title, people are not aware, Lingzi. Lingzi is the leader. As I said, after when rated Mao, it is the second leader. And this will effectively result in one thing definitely, the burial of Communist Party of China's practice of decision making by consensus. Now it will be one man's order. All the authorities have been vested in him. And all the office bearers are his henchmen, his yes men, his acolytes. Even the Prime Minister was asked to quit. He's no longer the Prime Minister, it's a new Prime Minister. And the new Prime Minister is obliged to President Xi for the offering because it is Xi's offering, not his own capability. So anyway, many ways we have seen that the 20th Congress Communist Party was a anticlimactic event. Prior to this meeting, there was a general consensus among scholars and watching that Congress would largely signal political and social change. 10 years of Xi were different, were over. But no, it happened what it was expected. It was reaffirmed beyond any doubt that the direction in which China was already heading was acceptable. But then, what do we see further? If winter comes, can spring be far behind? But then we forget. If fall comes, can snowy winter be far behind? And that is a billion-dollar question. The major thing that has happened in this Congress is that Xi has got now an unparalleled authority. No other leader in the world is as strong as Xi is. The confirmation of his third term has underscored his unparalleled authority both on the party and on the government. And the personnel appointments, starting with the change in the Politburo and the standing committees, to the appointments to the Discipline Inspection Commission, are also under the exclusive control of President Xi. But most important is his document, his speech, and his report. He presented 72-page report to 2,340 delegates, 83 specially invited retired veterans, and aware of the adverse international environment, President Xi avoided rhetoric, but there were key takeaways from his speech, and you cannot ignore them. First is us and them, clear. There's a division. We are here, You are there, and who are you? USA, India, Japan, Australia. He was exuding confidence, but this confidence was aimed at the domestic audience. He reasserted that China would be a major global power by the middle of the century, and he very grandiloquently declared China offers a new choice for humanity based on, now here's a bit of change, scientific socialism. So, as if socialism is scientific and socialism is unscientific, and Chinese wisdom. So, preponderance of Chinese culture, religion, thought, whether it's Confucius or Manchurian, would be the new choice. And then he defiantly reiterated the goals set at the earlier Congress in 2012 and 2017. And that was rejuvenation of the Chinese nation, implying the recovery of territories claimed by China and surpassing the USA as world's preeminent power. Now, this is a danger signal to USA. The USA is in for tough competition, and it's a signal to India because Pakistan is accepting whatever China says. So the only country that has now the border dispute with China is India, and China is bent upon rejuvenation and recovery of the territories. Then the second takeaway was harping on security. He did not underplay the challenges confronting China. Let's be very clear, he's very pragmatic, very transparent, very honest. He did not undermine or underplay or try to hide the efforts by the unnamed foreign powers without they want to destabilize China and topple the Communist Party. He didn't name USA, but he referred to, quote, the external attempts to blackmail, contain, blockade, and exert maximum pressure on China. And then the major declaration, almost a declaration of war. China would, quote, never yield to cohesive power, unquote. These apprehensions surfaced again when he announced that China would strengthen its mechanism to counter foreign sanctions and interference in its affairs by the other powers. Now here, US's first action always is economic sanctions. So he said, okay, we are strengthening our mechanism, we will counter your sanctions. You want to do it? Go ahead, do it. In fact, concerns about the national security have been frequently articulated by Chinese leaders all the time. But they were evident through the report, which referred to security 91 times. In 2017, the security was referred to 42 times. This time, 91 times, almost double, rather more than double. Then, he wanted to ensure the credibility of the Communist Party and to stop its erosion. So he made an unusually blunt reference about enforcing ideological purity, especially among the high-ranking cadres. Then his attack on corruption was a priority. 3 new sections were introduced this year, illustrating the priorities of presidency. The first is, of course, science and technology. Second is innovation. Third is security and corruption. And corruption underlines all. No corruption will be tolerated. So China has committed to invest money and manpower in science, technology, innovation, and security. The first two are very important thrust areas. Agreed. That's what I've been always saying. Particularly in the face of restrictions imposed by USA on the sale of high scientific semiconductors, microprocessors. So they are going ahead with that and want to make USA s- swallow the bitter pill. The next takeaway, reforms are now on the back burner. No policy changes were announced, suggesting the party's endorsement of these policies, including zero COVID policy. Now, she also downplayed the impact of economic downturn and the popular resentment of the possible recession. And he made reference to the economic reforms of 2017. But he insisted that notwithstanding, now here China, USA has been pinpointed, hegemonic, high-handed bullying by USA. China remained committed to opening to the outside world and would contribute its share to build a global economy. That means economic superiority and economic dominance, especially of Africa and Asia and Europe. Then his worrying rhetoric, what is of worry to me, his observations on Taiwan, China's other neighbors, which means India, because Pakistan is almost a colony, and the military significance. Now he struck and committed an uncompromising stance on Taiwan. He said, quote, complete reunification of our country must be realized and it can without doubt be realized, unquote. So his remarks implying that the efforts would be to achieve reunification during his tenure, and there was a resounding applause in that. He had gave a veiled threat, the iron fist in velvet glove. We will never promise to renounce the use of force. The only country in the world which says we will not renounce the use of force. We will use force if need is there, whenever need is there. And this was copied, or rather adopted by Modi yesterday when he told Kargil that we cannot be progressive unless we are powerful. Then he reiterated that the PLA would be world-class army in the next 3 years. The armed forces, he said, would be strengthened through mechanization, information, and application of smart technology. He confirmed the report that China was increasing its nuclear arsenal, and he said, quote, a strong system of strategic deterrence would be established. But here is again the danger. A new domain forces with new combat capabilities would be introduced. Now, new combat capabilities, is Indian CDS watching? Is India Defense Minister watching? What are they? But he indicated that the PLA Strategic Support Force and PLA Rocket Force would be expanded with enhanced combat capabilities. So, India, Vietnam, Philippines better wake up, even Japan. But then, as a counter to that, yesterday President Biden ordered B-15 in Guam to be on alert to protect Japan and Taiwan, but not India. An important addition to the report was that PLA's modernization would enable China, again quote, very important, to shape our security posture, deter and manage crises and conflicts, and win local wars. Now, till yesterday, the term local war has never been mentioned. And all the security experts, I talked to about half a dozen people yesterday, they agree with me that the local wars refer to current tensions on the Indo-China border and Taiwan. So this has immediate implications for India in the backdrop of tensions in Ladakh. and China's build-up of defense infrastructure in Tibet. The screening of this, and one thing more, this 2020 Galwan Valley clash was fully screened for all delegates with the approval of the higher echelons and confirmed that Beijing is prepared for a long period of strained relations with India. You can expect China will be a long-term problem as far as India is concerned. In short, Xi has been successful in purging the highest echelons of the party, leadership, and other factions like the Communist Youth League and concentrated power in himself. As I said, since Mao Zedong, this is the second Chinese leader having such a powerful status. And as for the head of the second most powerful country in the world, his impact on the stage, the global stage, cannot be minimized. By his speech, he has refashioned China into an aggressive revisionist power. Shades of Hitler, who said, "We want a place in sun." The official narrative about China aiming to create a global community of shared destiny is nothing but a camouflage for rewriting the international rules, and this rewriting would be in favor of China. Now, there is another thing to be noted that Xi's rise coincides with the several challenges for China itself. The Chinese economy is slowing down. The Chinese society is aging rapidly. And this puts immense pressure on Chinese working class and undermines the old social contract. So Xi has brought in a new social contract, and this is simply papering over crack. Taken together, the world is looking at a very different China under Xi. It's no longer Deng's China, no. The US-China strategic rivalry will continue to be there, and you will see the flashpoints in like Taiwan. This also means that Indo-Chinese border standoff will remain hot. And he has made clear there will be no compromise. So therefore, New Delhi needs to steel itself and adopt an all-out approach to tackle Beijing. India has to upgrade its defense preparedness, coordinate with the like-minded people, and most important, boost the domestic economy. And then, still more important, go in for innovation. Go in for a space force. We don't have a space force. We don't have a rocket force. So domestic economy and defense are to be strengthened to tackling the dragon who is breathing fire and brimstone on the borders. Is India prepared? And is the world prepared? These are the questions. And I have seen the UN today keeps absolutely deaf, mute and dumb when China speaks, despite all the prompting by the free world. So note of caution, take care. The dragon is up, ready with its fiery attacks on all that stand in the way of its ambition to have a worldwide dominion. Let's see. Are we ready? Is the world ready? China is ready, definitely. Thank you.